In the previous video, part 1 of PBL 2 assignment 2, we answered questions 1, 2, and 4. And we left off answering question number 3. So this is where we're going to pick up. How can you and your household reduce food waste? We wrote our question stem. My household and I can reduce food waste by, and we need to finish watching the video to see the answer to the question. So we left off at 1 minute and 44 seconds into the video.
Individual consumers can be more careful shoppers.
So the video just said that we can be more careful shoppers. We can use better methods to store and recycle leftovers. And request smaller portions in restaurants. So there's 3 things that we can do. So I'm going to go and add that to my question number 4. My household and I can reduce food waste by being careful shoppers, using better methods to store and recycle food, and by requesting smaller portions at restaurants. So I've answered question number 3 using the video, and I wrote it in a complete sentence with proper punctuation. Now I have question number 5 left. And remember, we talked about question number 5 is not going to come from the video. Okay, so I might have to do some outside research to figure out how to answer this question, depending on how much math I know. So it says, imagine 28% of the world's agricultural land grows crops that are wasted. Write this percent as a decimal and a fraction. Show your work and make sure your answer is in the simplest form. Okay, so the question gives me 28%. Okay, and I have to write it as a decimal and a fraction. So that's percent to decimal and percent to fraction. So these are 2 things I need to do. Okay. Now remember, I'm an English teacher, so I need to do a little bit of research on how to write a percent to a decimal. So I'm going to do what I know best. I'm going to find a resource. I'm going to go to Google. And I know YouTube has videos on how to do things, so I'm just going to go to youtube.com and I'm going to search percent to decimal because that's the first one that I have to do. And I see there's a video here that's about 2 minutes. So I'm going to watch this video and see what I can learn.
What? Still searching YouTube?
I have to wait for the ad to go off. Skip the ad. I'm going to watch the video.
Write this with a decimal point. 37% is certainly equal to 37.
Now imagine that your number is 28 because our percentage is 28 from the question in number 5. So you would have 28% written here. You would have 28 written here, and you would move your decimal forward. Okay, so I'm just watching the steps that he's doing. Okay. I'm going to pause the video here, and then I'm going to go back to my question, and I'm going to do the same thing for 28%. So I'm going to start with 28% here, and that's going to go to I have to put the 0.0, so it becomes 28.0, and then that becomes 0.280, but he says that we have to take away the trailing 0, so then it just becomes 0.28, and that is the answer. So 0.28 is the decimal for 28%, okay? Now, percent to fraction. This is something else that I'm not really familiar with, but I know that we still start with 28%. So, of course, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back to my resource, and I'm going to search YouTube for percent to fraction. And I see a video here for about a minute. So
Tired of scratching YouTube for math?
I gotta watch the ad.
TutorGuy.com has videos
When the
covering
ad
everything
allows
from
me to
calculus
skip,
to
I'm going to skip it.
The following
Let's
is a
see
selected
what she
video from
does.
yourteacher.com, where you can browse over 450 complete math lessons with example videos, interactive practice problems, self-tests, and more. Try a complete lesson today at yourteacher.com.
To write a percent as a fraction in lowest terms. Remember
So she says lowest terms. I think my question says simplest form. And I think those are the same thing. So she's starting with 40%. I'm starting with 28%. Okay. So let's just see what she does.
that a percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100.
So percents always compare to 100. So I think she's going to put a 100 on the bottom. Let's see.
So here, 40% can be written as the ratio 40 to 100. Or 40.
Okay, I thought that's what she was going to do. So I'm going to do that same step on my assignment. 28 over 100. Okay. Now let's see what else she does.
40 over 100. Notice, however, that 40 over 100 is not a lowest term.
So she's saying that she can make that fraction smaller. Let me see how she's going to do that. She's dividing them. Okay, I wonder why. I think she chose 20 because 20 can go into 40 and 20 can go into 100. So whatever number you choose to divide by has to be able to go into both the numerator and the denominator evenly. So let's see, 40 divided by 20 is 2, and 100 divided by 20 is 5. So I think her lowest term or simplest form is going to be 2 over 5. Let's watch.
Okay. 2 over 5. So 40% could be written as a fraction. 2 over.
Okay, so I was right. So now I have to go back and I have to do that same process with this. So I have 28 over 100, but that can go a little smaller. So let me think about what number can divide into 28 as well as 100. I can't say the number 28 because 100 is not divisible by 28, so that's not going to work. How about the number 2? 28 can be divided by 2, and 100 can be divided by 2. So if I do 28 divided by 2 equals 14, and 100 divided by 2 equals 50. So my simplest form would be 14 over 50. And that's going to be the answer. But I need to write this in a complete sentence. So I'm going to come back up here where I answer my question, and I'm going to write 28% as a decimal is 0.28, and 28% as a fraction is 28 over 100, or 14 over 50. And I think that that can even get smaller, right? Because 14 can be divided by 2 and 50 can be divided by 2. So let's see how much smaller we can get. 14 divided by 2 equals 7, and 50 divided by 2 equals 25. So really, the simplest form is 7 over 25. So I'm going to erase this, because they all mean the same thing, but we have to get it as low as possible. So my simplest form ends up being 7 over 25. And that's as much as I can divide. So this is my complete sentence answer to question number 5. And this is me showing all of my work down here. Okay, so I'm going to leave that. All right, and now I have completed assignment number 2, questions 1 through 5 in complete sentences and showing my work. So I can submit my assignment to Schoology and ensure that it's been shared with my teacher. I see that. I can share it here by typing in the email address. And that way, she's able to grade it that way, in addition to it being in Schoology, whichever one's easier for you. So, happy completing assignment number 2. Be sure to get it turned in. The due date is May 8th, but we want to shoot for the day before, May 7th.